okay guys, I might have time before it gets dark to fit one more video in, and this is something that I really wanted to make a video about because it is actually quite funny. Okay, so I am 38 weeks, 6 days pregnant today, I believe. It's either 5 days or 6 days. I think it's 6. But I am definitely ready to have a baby in terms of you get certain signs that happen to you before you have a baby, certain changes in your body, just changes generally, and one of the changes that I've noticed most significantly with this pregnancy has been my emotional state. Now, I've always been one of those people that, like, a few days before I give birth, I go very emotional. I'll either be crying a lot, very agitated and irritable, generally feeling very overwhelmed and upset. Just there's not really a distance of time from one emotion to the next. There's like 0 to 60. Is that the expression, 0 to 60? You know what I mean? Like, I go from naught, normal to crazy in like 60 seconds. Is that the expression? You know what I mean? There's no warning. My fuse is very short, and yeah, that's always been the case for me. And it's funny because with my second pregnancy, I remember feeling so bad with that pregnancy that I went to see my doctor, and I was in such a state. And I walked in there, and it was a gentleman doctor, and he said, "How can I help you today?" And I just burst into tears, and he said, "What's the matter? What's the problem?" And I said, "I want to kill myself." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "I want to kill myself. I can't cope with life." I'm just shutting my window so that you can hear me better. I was like, "I want to kill myself. I can't cope with my life anymore. I can't cope. I want to kill myself." And he started laughing. And I was really offended by this doctor, like, "Why are you laughing at me? I've just told you that I'm suicidal." And he smiled, and I said, "Why? What do you think's the matter with me?" He said, "I think you're about to have a baby, sweetheart." And the next day I went into labour and gave birth. And that was with my son, and he's 11 years old. So 11 years ago that happened. And so it just shows you that this is generally a trend for me, that I get very emotional just before I give birth. But with this pregnancy, it seems to have kicked in a little bit early, and I have been a bit cray-cray for, excuse me, because I've got such, like, bad acid reflux. I'm like, and I can't burp, so I'm like gurgling away. Yeah, I've noticed that this symptom has kicked in a little bit early for me. So the last few weeks I've been a bit like this. Anyway, so I wanted to share this with you mums because, if no one ever said to me that this was a pre-labour symptom, it seems to me that women are looking out for symptoms in terms of their physical conditions. So, do they have an increase in vaginal fluid? Do they have lots more Braxton Hicks? Do they produce colostrum? And these are all really good ways of knowing. Sorry, a woman's walking past. I just feel really embarrassed that I'm talking into my phone outside a park. They probably think I'm a freak. I'm just going to ignore her as she walks past my window. There she goes. Yeah. So, I've lost my train of thought as well. Memory loss, baby brain. Oh, it's a nightmare. Yeah, women tend to be like looking out for these physical changes, and I wasn't aware of the emotional changes that women go through. So this is why I wanted to share this with you, because I think it's really important, because the emotional changes you go through just before you have a baby, if you're the type of person to have them and you're not aware of it as being a pre-labour symptom, I think it could be quite alarming, because it's so intense. For me, the feelings of feeling completely overwhelmed, so intense. Literally, not, I wouldn't say feeling suicidal, because that's not true. It's a sudden feeling of, I can't cope, I can't carry on anymore, and then it's gone again very quickly. So it's not like I have a state of feeling depressed. It's just an erratic state of emotions, but generally feeling very, very overwhelmed. And I just want to put this out there for you mums, because, you know, if I can help someone else by telling them my experiences, then maybe, you know, this could help you, because like I said, no one ever told me that this was the case. Anyway, so it's been a roller coaster of emotions, and the general feeling of being overwhelmed is the most severe, because I think it's because I've been physically unwell, and I haven't been able to do as much as a housewife, as a mother, as a carer. I run my household, and you know, if you've got a lot of kids, you know that you have to be on the ball, you have to be in control of the situation, you know, for the sake of your children, there has to be routine, and, you know, things that keep the family going. And when things start to slip, you know, you can feel generally like, really, I can't cope anymore, because, you know, the washing's piling up, or, you know, the bank returned a check or something because you didn't put it in on time, or you missed an appointment or something, right? And so when you're very unwell and things start to slip, I think that generally adds to the feeling of being overwhelmed. I do have a lot on my plate, and I know that. Having 4 children, being pregnant with my 5th, having all these complications, being, you know, a full-time carer to my husband with his condition, and then on top of that, just normal everyday life, you know. So I know that I have, you know, quite a bit on my plate. So I don't think it's I don't think it's surprising that I would have feelings of being overwhelmed, but I generally cope quite well with my life, so I notice the difference. Anyway, the reason that I'm going on and on about this is because recently I've had some really funny incidents that have happened to me, and some of them are quite shocking, and I feel a bit nervous to share them, because it's a mixture of TMI, like too much information, and I don't want to make anyone feel awkward or embarrassed. But you guys know me by now. I'm not one of those people that just sits back and doesn't share. This is what I do. I share my life. I share my life with people I know. You know, majority of my family say, Angie, you share too much. You know, you give everything. You tell everyone everything. And this is true. This is part of my personality. And I think that I'm not going to change the way I am. I'm going to stay the way I am, because it's who I am. And in all honesty, what does it achieve and who does it help? I can't stop these gurgles, I'm so sorry. Who does it help by not sharing? Like in the olden days, you know, mothers wouldn't talk about certain things with their daughters, because it just wasn't spoken about, certain things. And then their daughters had to grow up and learn it for themselves. Whereas nowadays, in modern times, you know, mothers and daughters are more open together. They talk about things that would never have been discussed, say, 50 or 100 years ago. And in being able to open up and talk to our children and to people, you know, we're helping each other. And I feel the same way when it comes to sharing my life on YouTube and in life in general, that by opening up, yes, you risk feeling embarrassment because you're sharing stuff that many people wouldn't share. So yes, you might feel embarrassed or humiliated, and you might risk making another person feel a bit awkward. But if you can help someone by sharing that information, then surely it's worth sharing. So I'm going to make a video in a minute, and I'm going to share some really funny incidents with you, and I think I'm going to put a little bit of a warning up that it's I don't want to over dramatize it because it's not as bad as what it sounds necessarily, but I also just want to warn that if you're not comfortable hearing certain things, then you might not want to watch the video, because you know, I don't want to make you embarrassed. But if you're a woman that's about to have a baby and you are experiencing huge hormonal roller coasters, you know, if you can bear it, like, hear me out, because you know, I just want you to know that it's completely normal. How you're feeling is completely normal, because even though I'm not perfect, and even though a lot of people might think I'm completely crazy, I know that I'm mentally a very stable person. I'm a very normal person. And if I'm feeling this way, and if I'm having these experiences, the chances are that the majority of women are as well, but they're just keeping it a little bit hush hush, you know, because of being embarrassed about it. So yeah, I'm going to come back in a minute. I'm going to share just a couple of examples of what's been happening to me lately, and hopefully I can do it in like one video instead of like part 2 and 3, because that would be really irritating. So yeah, I'm going to come back in a second, and like I said, if you don't want to watch it, please don't watch it, because I don't want a whole lot of hateful comments on there saying, oh my goodness, why would you share that, or why would you, you know, say that, you know, or whatever. But I'm gonna do it. And I've spoken to my husband about it, I've spoken to my family, and they've said, you've got to share it, you've got to share it. It's hysterical, it's real, you know, you've got to tell people this, because it's just like classic, you know. Anyway, so yeah, and I agree, I want to share it. I've been sharing it with, seriously, I've been telling this to people I don't even know, like strangers in the street, kind of, not strangers, but like if I come into a shop and a woman's talking to me about pregnancy and giving her, sharing with me, I will share back. And you know, I've had people generally just say, that is just so funny, thank you, you've made my day, I was just hysterical. So yeah, yeah, I've been sharing this around, so I'm going to share it with you guys. Anyway, I'm going to get back and stop rambling, and I'll speak to you in a minute. Goodbye.